Hello, I'm Simon Calder. Thank you for tuning in to this special episode of Back to the City. I'm joined by Maya Elena. Welcome back.
Hello.
Maya.
Thanks for having me again, Simon.
Yeah, you're very welcome indeed. I think this is maybe the third time.
I think so.
Because you came into the Cyanide Radio studio back
Yes.
when Back to the City was there.
Correct.
And then we had an interview in the green room.
Oh yeah, at Ice House.
Yeah, using the little Tascam recorder that I had down on the floor just there.
Oh, yeah.
Tascam. You recognise meeting the Tascam in the green room of the release show for this self-titled Maya Elena EP.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which we can hear songs from throughout this opening segment.
Yes.
That was a dual release show though.
It was.
Yeah. And who else was there a release show for?
That was with Fairfax, Alaska.
Yeah. And
Yes.
why is that relevant?
It's very relevant because Doc, who's a part of Fairfax, Alaska, is also part of now Illusion Valley, which is the new group, the collaborative project that we've started recently.
Yeah, and so not only in the band, but in the wings, or behind the cameras, Doc will be joining us for the second half of this episode. And the occasion of this episode is we're celebrating and having a first listen to, I suppose.
Yeah, the debut it is.
Absolutely,
it
yeah.
is,
So thank you.
Thank you.
The song Bought and Paid For, which is the first ever song, in a way, from the band Illusion Valley. So
it is indeed.
We've caught you at a transitional moment.
It is a crossroads.
Yeah. Up until tomorrow, as a performer, you've been Maya Elena. You've had a band, but you've been Maya Elena.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, for the first time, you perform at the Hook and Ladder.
Yes.
At the single release for this song, Bought and Paid For, as the frontrunner and songwriter for Illusion Valley.
Correct.
Yeah. So in the second half of the segment, and second half of the episode, Doc is going to join us and we're going to talk about the significance of that shift. First though, we're going to think a bit about the shift purely in terms of songwriting. So we have a different set of musicians than we're performing on the Maya Elena record.
For the most part, yeah. Or for the most part, it's similar. Doc is stepping in as a guitar player. But on the album, we have the same bass player, drummer, and banjo / resonator / whatever Eldon feels like. As
Good old Eldon.
Yes. Yeah.
There's been a bit of a shift in the band members, but also, particularly with this song, there's been a bit of a shift in what you're doing lyrically. As well.
Yeah.
So let's kind of talk a bit about that. Preemptively get a bit of a sense of this song and how it relates to, how it differs from the songs that we can currently hear. Before we join by Doc to talk about the new band.
Sure.
Okay. So it's called Bought and Paid For, and when you sent it to me in the email, you clarified that most pieces that you've written before have an elusive and hidden meaning, and I'm sure that many of the songs perhaps will, with the band being called Illusion Valley, I think the hidden and illusions, like these presumably will be themes that come up again in the future.
Yes.
But in the meantime, this particular song, this single that comes out tomorrow, you said you took a more direct approach after being re-inspired by the lyrical style of Bob Dylan and Ani DiFranco.
Yeah. Have you listened to Ani DiFranco's newer pieces? Yeah.
Not the newer pieces, actually.
Or,
so is it the newer pieces that are particularly influencing this shift in lyrical style?
Particularly some of her songs from the mid-90s, and just being inspired by the more direct approach of, okay, I'm tired of all this bullshit. I think a theme for me in songwriting, at least with the Maya Elena EP, was that it was very much a process of self-discovery. It was a very necessary step in this process for me to work through songs like Soul Work, where
which we can hear at the moment.
Yes. Ideally. Right, it's in my head. Where is it? I don't know. But when you identify as someone, as an empath, when you decide to say, okay, like I have to draw the line of where I can help and how deeply you can affect
because of
someone.
self-care,
Right,
as
and-
well.
and
So you
certainly
care for yourself as well as
Right.
others, and
first until then you're able to overflow and help expand beyond that. But if you're not taking care of yourself, how can you help others?
and that's what soul
Soul work specifically, that
is.
song.
So the work to take care of yourself and your soul.
Yeah, the lyrics are, you've got to find your own soul work.
Yeah.
In terms of, I've found mine, and what mine means to me could be completely different for what it means to someone else. But solidifying that as the basis of, okay, this is how we interact together as a functioning collaborative team, I guess.
And that remains as true as ever. So as individuals, whether as songwriters or just as individuals, like we have our own work to do, we need to find our own meaning, and we can help each other with that.
Certainly, and they're all tied together. And I think we all chase coincidence and serendipity and trying to connect that. But it is of detriment to those that step beyond what they're capable of, and even more so when you know so. When you know it's stepping beyond what you're capable of giving. And just that process of self-discovery in songs like that, and establishing my own creative process and how I get to that imaginative, playful place that is fun to write from and create melodies from, like an inspiration, motivation. I very much think of it as a physical place in my mind that I go to write and to create. And so to solidify thoughts like that, like those, in kind of a time capsule of that EP is very important to me to concrete who I am as an artist and as a musician, first and foremost to myself, and then as well as our collaborative project, and how that's kind of been a healing process.
And helped you become the Maya Elena that you remain, even as the project is no longer
it is absorbed into this newly formed. And in a way, it's always kind of been Illusion Valley. It really has been. It's
because
a lot of the same members.
It's been a band.
Yeah, and they've all
Always,
written their own parts.
Yeah.
Like I'll write the song, the lyrics, and the structure, and we'll even go as so far to, they have arrangements that we'll kind of like work on, and very much writing their own instrumental parts, and will sometimes and often shape how the song is live or on the album. And so it's kind of like, okay, like now that we're for myself, my awareness of that is now put into action with titling it Illusion Valley.
Yeah, that seems the right time to.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that in the second segment. But so speaking of Maya Elena as the songwriter, Shad Chalice,
Yes.
who is responsible for. So this is my DIY green screen.
Nice.
So although it looks like flowers to us, this is the image on the front cover of the EP.
Nice.
So Shad Chalice was responsible for this, and also for this, I think, quite accurate account of Maya Elena. An ethereal songbird whose lilting voice dips and dives through her creative arrangements like a rattlesnake fighting a dove. So that's Shad.
He's multifaceted, photographer, graphic designer, and writer, I guess.
Yeah, great writer too.
Absolutely.
Talking about another great songwriter. And so I think that the vocal delivery on the new song, which we'll be debuting momentarily, is similar to that quality that he's describing of the rattlesnake fighting the dove. Would you say that's
definitely a cohesive theme? Yeah.
You seem very comfortable with it being described in that way.
Yeah.
This idea of a conflict between something that the dove is obviously peaceful, but then the rattlesnake there's a kind
venomous
of
and biting.
So, is that something that you're going for, that you're excited that people are hearing in the vocal delivery?
Yeah, and I think so as a content theme as well, perhaps, and even just down to editing techniques in the studio, like when Mark and I were working on it, is very much
Mark from Rookie Fit.
Yes.
Yeah, who you've worked on this new record with, but also the previous EP or not?
Not the previous EP. However, we recorded the single in his home studio. He was very much like acting producer,
Yeah.
and engineer for it, and instrumentalist as well. He played a couple instrument.
So what instruments is he playing on the song?
Well, it's hard because we actually have 4 versions of the songs.
Ah,
So we kind of made like the full the full sound with we kind of brought in some like sine waves to get that very like ambient feel, kind of the wookified version. We have a bluegrass version, an acoustic version, and then just kind of like a stripped down one. And
all of these will be on the single, which people can get tomorrow at Hook and Ladder?
I'm not sure yet. I think we're just going to release one right away.
Okay.
Or we might release all 4. We'll leave it as a surprise.
Okay.
But yes, at least one of them will be available.
Yeah.
But specifically on the bluegrass, he helped kind of construct like some of the instrumentation that was on there. The one lyric I'm thinking was, it's in the end, it's the last line of the second verse, where the lyrics are, hold on, I have to sing through it in my head to get to that one spot. And if we still say America is the land of the brave and the free, then why, when I look, I see a new form of slavery and cowards reaping the luxury. Specifically, those last like 6 or 7 words, he implemented a plugin there that changed the quality to like a tinny sort of. To me, I picked up like it was kind of like a metallic, like a very sharp sound on top of it, to really drive home that point, because that was the
like
pinnacle of the verse. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Momentarily, we'll play the song and we'll have Doc join us, and we can do lyrical analysis of what's going on and think about the how this new band is functioning, what else we can expect from Illusion Valley.
Certainly.
First of all, another thing that Shad Chalice highlighted though is regarding your lyrics. The lyrics sometimes come with an emotional edge, but the work is tempered by a certain lightness and even a sense of humour that makes the songs complex but eminently listenable. Okay, and so there are lots of interesting kind of turns of phrases and lots of metaphor throughout these songs that we've been hearing in this segment. Jazz Mine is another favourite of mine. And to get a sense of the lyrical style across the Myra Lena record, I feel like the sunlight has got my mind rambling on like a boulder uphill.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna give you all sorts of hell. So the sunlight is making your mind do something, and then it's like a boulder rolling up a hill. Can you kind of pass that? So what are you, because you said there's soul work, and there's one song called Soul Work.
Correct.
But then soul work is, almost that record is a record of the soul work. And so you kind of become yourself, the self that then is able to be, the front person in this new phase.
Right.
Yeah. What does that particular lyric about the sunlight and the boulder, what's that communicating about this kind of, about the soul work, I suppose, about like the endeavor of the artist?
Yeah, specifically the journey of pushing a boulder uphill was how my one of my musical mentors, and very much just overall mentor, Mike Gerritsen, who you know,
Blackwater,
yes, who you know very well.
Yeah. He plays with Mark Moorman.
Yeah, yeah, he's a very avid musician around town, and owner of Pitch Fever Music Academy, and all around super accomplished guitar player, and
wonderful human being.
As well, absolutely, first and foremost. But one of the things that he taught me that I will always remember was saying that it's kind of like, pursuing music is like pushing a boulder uphill, and every once in a while you get to a plateau where you can stop and breathe, and I imagine there being sunlight there, but you can turn around and you can see how far you've come. You can see the hill below you, and the path that you've come up, but you can't stay too long, because if you look the other way, you still have so much farther to go, and that task can become more and more daunting the more and more comfortable you get on that plateau. Yeah. And
so one such plateau was, let's imagine you got your record release at Ice House for Myra Lena, the previous EP. You had an exciting festival experience at that time. So what was that?
I'm trying to think. That was September. Oh yeah, so that was at Shangri-La. We had I know I performed there as Maya Elena, and then I performed with Wickyfoot at Shangri-La.
Yeah, wow. So that was one such plateau, presumably.
At that.
It must not have felt like
I pre-wrote those lyrics to that moment, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. but yeah, no, the more experience I gain as a musician in my path, but now our paths, the more, the farther we go, it seems like the higher the incline gets. Sometimes, but you know, I think it's all a choice, you know, and wherever that plateau feels most comfortable, whenever that time comes or whatever that is.
And
I forget where I'm going with this.
No,
Can we get into this part now?
You're about to pick the ball
We're
up
rambling.
and
Well, it's time to go now. It's like we gotta roll.
You're not rambling. The mind will be rambling on. Which is the lyric, of course.
Well done, Simon.
You have been rolling a big boulder, this Illusion Valley boulder up a hill, since that plateau. I imagine you'll soon be at another plateau where you can just kind of sit back for a bit whilst we all enjoy the Illusion Valley songs.
And as we write more.
And as you write more, there'll be more boulder rolling.
Yes.
It strikes me as really interesting, though, that as we hear this song in about 30 seconds, some lyrics near the beginning, we find you reflecting on having friends and family. You have the guitar that speaks to you and a quiet mind that listens to the goddesses inside your head. It's almost like the Maya who's done the soul work or has been doing the soul work is conscious of like the benefits of that.
Certainly. But
also the privilege of having been in that situation, and it seems to me like, you know, with that lyric where you catch yourself in the act of not feeling too self-congratulatory about having done this soul work, where you're thinking, I want to do something slightly different with this song and with my music, because of our political, social, cultural context.
Right. It's kind of like the proverbial the defensive, you know, kind of head in the sand, like just focusing on being okay. Once you reach that, okay, and then what?
Yeah.
The fact that I'm able to make music, and the fact that we're all able to make music, and we have the privilege of doing a craft that we love, that we're passionate about, that we enjoy on multiple levels.
Yeah.
That is a privilege.
Yeah.
And to get there, it requires your basic needs being met: your food, clean water, shelter, friends and family, a sound and
which are all things that are referenced in that first verse.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And then comes the ability of like the awareness of, okay, you know, for me it's spirituality and tying that into my belief systems and how I go about my day and my writing process. And using that to paint the picture that, okay, so I'm only able to get here because of this, but why am I allowed that? Well, so many do not get that, or don't take the opportunities to get that, or
so we all
are systematically oppressed against and are never even aware of the notion that exists or is available to them.
So then the idea of us all having our soul work to do has now been kind of tempered. You, Maya, are afforded the opportunity to do a certain type of soul work that not everybody is. And it seems almost like on the plateau, after having put out the previous EP, like the boulder rolling that led up to that is thinking about soul work. And then you're on this plateau, and then, you know, some boulder rolling has happened now as you shift what you're doing a bit. And it's still informed by the same spiritual truths as before, but you're thinking it's more socially oriented too, influenced by Bob Dylan.
It's translated into a practical application of, you know, how can I convey, okay, so here's what I'm thinking, here's what we're thinking, here's now kind of the message we're trying to get across as a group now.
With a group, and they're drawing on their experiences?
There's ours, as the writer, I foresee it coming through kind of a mixed perspective, but through the lens of my voice as the singer and primary lyricist. Not to say who knows what will happen. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
as it evolves,
Doc is quite a talented singer as well.
Yeah,
we've been having
evidently.
ideas of having that come through too, and who knows? Maybe we'll get Eldon on the microphone too.
Well, anything could happen.
Exactly.
We'll get a sense of some of the things that are more likely than other things to happen when Doc joins us, which Doc is now about to do. We're going to hear the song for the first time in the meantime, so there's Doc will both literally join us, and there's a metaphorical significance to this this is the moment when Myra Elena becomes Illusion Valley, as Doc sits in the seat. So yeah, please do. Doc is entering from the wings, and we are hearing for the first time Bought and Paid For, which we will be analysing together.
Yeah, do you need some more room?
Am I really blessed, then is this fortune really mine? Why are some only born to die while others are born to live and thrive? 'Cause I've got food, clean water and shelter from the storm. Oh, I've got friends and family that tie off my loose ends. This guitar that speaks to me, and a quiet mind that listens to the goddesses inside my head that whisper endless love and wisdom. Should I feel balance or harbor guilt, knowing it's not fair? And is it equal what we're striving for? But without a map, how the hell do we get there? Our privileges bestowed, stolen or learned. So hate the difference whether you think that they've been taught or earned it. Has the world already been bought and paid for? And is the unending cycle of a victim what could waste? Wage the first war. When and where and how did we agree that it's up to our legacy to break our cycles of discrimination and inequality? By telling young girls to cover up if you don't wish to be sexualized, though, and telling young blacks don't resist if you want to live. Oh, and if you're gay, you can pray it away. And pardon me if you disagree, but sometimes our voices are best left to listen to our brothers and our sisters on the front lines who are there bleeding instead of us. And if we still say America is the land of the brave and the free, then why, when I look, oh, all I see is a new form of slavery, and cowards reaping the luxury. Our privileges bestowed, stolen or learned. So hate the difference whether you think that they've been taught or earned it. Has the world already been bought and paid for? And is the unending cycle of a victim what could waste? Waste the first one. Whether or not you choose to see that love stems from the same well as empathy, I still have hope that we can find the place of commonality and unity, even if we disagree on who the next president should be. Maybe if we spent a little more time working on ourselves, merging the thoughts from our minds with the love in our hearts, or we can see that we've been waging an uncivil divide inside ourselves. natural disaster caused by a blind eye. Cause I am no longer afraid to travel down a tunnel with the wind's resolution inside. Have no fear, my peers. We are the bringers of the revolution. We are the keepers of the light.
Okay, so now we're all together. We just heard, without the interference of our voices, because we're very distracting, we just heard Bought and Paid For, the first track from Illusion Valley. So welcome, Doc. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me again.
You're very welcome. We go way back as well.
Yes,
We've
yes.
had many conversations on and off the air, on and off the cameras. We've got, the
on
first
and
one,
off mic.
first one with the cameras.
Yeah.
And
hello.
so at what stage, lovely, at what stage did you join at what has been the Maya Elena band and
That is an
is now transformed?
excellent question. I think a while back, I randomly saw one of Maya's performances. And then
Is that the Reverie?
it was at the Reverie.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those, like, she writes like me. We need to be friends.
Yep.
How do I make sure this happens? And then I just
I remember that interaction. It was so awkward.
I basically just went like, it was like, for the record, I was high out of my mind.
That was
Because,
part of why
but
it
that's
was
that was
No,
that,
no.
that was part of my recreation routine. I was just like, I'm just gonna get a little high and enjoy a show of musicians I had never seen before.
What's the venue?
It was Reverie.
The
It was at the
Reverie.
Reverie,
Yeah.
and
Only every Monday.
Okay, so
we
Jeffrey's
have mutual
friends.
friends that curate that, and I was like, I've never heard of any of these bands, and I finally have a free night. I'm gonna go. It was a summer, and I was like, I'm just gonna go watch a show, and I was really taken with your playing. So I'm just stoned out of my mind, going like, you remind me of Jeff Buckley, and you're like, oh, thanks. And then like it was like a Batman. Like as soon as she turned on to like rapper cable, I was just gone.
And then we didn't talk for like
Yeah.
a month.
Did you even
or two.
introduce yourself?
No.
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 And I was like, what? Okay,
Yeah.
bye.
That's a doc move. Did you introduce yourself? No, I didn't. No.
So what happened next?
Uh,
No, next is much later, but
Right.
in the story of the interaction
Right.
of the two.
Well, we realized that we had both
There's so many parallels in
recorded
our lives.
at Brew House with Rob.
While
and we-
at the same
Rob Jenner.
time.
Yeah,
We had no
in the
idea.
same-
Yep.
and we were both the last two projects
Mm-hmm.
for him at that location. Now he's at the Brew Lab.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm sorry if that's wrong, Rob. In Northeast.
Yep.
And then we both were looking at Ice House, which is across the street from Brew House.
Yep.
House. And we were like, let's just why don't we just
Yeah.
do it together?
Why don't we just
And
do this?
then and put the double build release show that you were
At in
interviewing.
Greenwood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Maya, how I entered the picture as playing in Maya's band
Yeah.
was more, we discovered all these parallels in our lives, and we became really quick friends after like one awkward encounter, and then I reappeared. I think we were in a situation where it's just like, wait, we need to talk. Then like, so that's how we connected, and we were planning this show.
Yeah.
And she was playing the Big Blue Family reunion, and thought it would be fun. We're like, why don't I just bring you as a +1? Then we can promote the release show, and then you can sit in on a few tunes, and a few
Yeah.
tunes became sit
set.
on these tunes, and then those tunes just became the whole set, and
Right.
then it's
Yeah.
just kind of.
So the set, just even that one set, radically transformed due to the inclusion of Doc.
You could
Is
say
that fair
that.
to say?
You could
Yeah.
say that. Yeah.
I think that was definitely transformative.
At what stage? At what stage were you on a boat together?
Oh yeah, we called you.
We were trying to get that task camera.
Do you have it?
So on a previous, I mean, I don't have.
Oh
Yeah.
but
I
that
have
was
the
when
task
you,
cam.
yeah.
This is just the
Yes.
visual aid.
It's not-
There's no other surprises. This is the full surprise. So,
Any purple limits to
So,
drop? I don't know.
We brought the boat.
I thought you had the recording or something. I was like, you saved that voicemail? What?
because
like, okay,
so
let's go.
whereas you met this in the green
Yeah.
room,
Oh, I
you
did.
first
Yeah,
encountered this in a different room that didn't have any condenser mics, so we were
Right.
relying purely on this.
Right.
And you were releasing which of the many bands were you
That's a
releasing?
good question. That's a good question. We'd have to like find which episode that was. I think was that Fairfax or
I think it was not.
or was it Jill single?
It was a Jill single.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I do remember that. Yeah.
yeah. So you came over. I think it was a season finale that you were one of maybe 6 or 7 different guests on that particular episode, which you can find archived on mixcloud.com/Simon Recorder if you so wish. And you had come straight from being on the boat with Maya.
Yeah.
And this was before. This was a while before the record release.
Right.
So
that was
what
one
happened
of
on the
those,
boat? Did the
That was just one of those weird things. My friend has a boat.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I'll get a text from them going like, "Come out, buddy, come out." I'm like, "All right."
Didn't you have a captain's hat?
Yeah.
Yeah,
does.
that
he
was
does.
a
The whole
nice
thing,
touch.
the whole
Oh,
deal.
nice.
Yeah. Spared no expense.
No,
So,
only the finest
full
luxury.
nautical.
The nautical.
Yeah. Came full.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, "Hey,
You're
this
just
would be
hanging.
really weird. Do you want to come?"
Coming out on this boat. Yeah, and then we called you because we were like, oh, that's
Yeah.
our other connection
Yeah,
together.
Like,
you tried
chasing
to get
serendipity
me
here.
to come
Yeah.
To do an episode on that boat. I still
Back to the
I am
boat.
still I'm drawing a line in the sand here. I think that episode should happen
Should have been-
eventually. One of
It
these
should have
days
been
it
on
should
the boat,
happen.
and
Yeah.
we will be on the boat.
We'll see you there.
Because now that you have
Bring this.
cameras, we gotta have
Exactly.
Yeah.
We won't get electrocuted. We'll bring all of. Maybe we'll have the
We'll
cameras
find a
in
way.
this.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. It would tie everything together that way.
Yeah. So that's a lot of the story of how the two of you became friends and
Right.
collaborators, and now you're here, like very much. You're the guitarist or a guitarist
Yes.
in the band.
That is both true in and out of the band.
You were a guitarist, and you
I
were
am a guitarist.
in the band.
I'm a guitarist
Yes.
in the band. And yes, I am.
I would like it. It would be interesting if you were a guitarist, not generally, but in the band. You were a guitarist. That would be an interesting predicament. So before we had the boulder rolling up a hill net.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Now we're in the dock. Dock is in the dock.
Wow, Simon. This is good.
All right, I'm on board. Let's
and
go.
The good ship, Illusion Valley, is about to set off on its maiden voyage.
Yes.
And,
Tomorrow night?
Yeah, and tomorrow night at the Hook and Banner. Hook.
The
Hook. At the Hook and Banner.
I gotta go.
I got this.
Too
where-
real.
So, Doc, where do you anticipate this, the maiden voyage of Illusion Valley leading? So next time that we arrive in the harbour or at a plateau, what will have happened to this band? You've been working on other music in the studio
Right.
too.
Oh,
So what? So when you're the next harbour is like the record release.
Mhm.
At that time, what will Illusion Valley be like?
Mm.
Do both of you think? But
A lot of fun. But for
it
the
will have
rest
been
of
a
it,
lot of fun. It
but
will,
for the rest of it, we'll see.
Okay.
I'm not. I think this was more of we like creating things together,
okay.
and it seemed like more like why haven't we done this?
Done that.
So let's do it
Yeah.
and see where it goes.
C metaphor.
Mhm.
Who?
Wow.
We're reaching now. It's okay, we got
I
songs,
got
it's
you.
fine.
I got you. I'm just gonna enjoy the voyage.
Okay. So you have been enjoying the voyage.
Mhm.
There's other songs that you're working on in the studio.
Yes.
How representative is Bought and Paid For of the other songs? Do they bear
Sonically or thematically?
first of all, thematically,
Hmm.
and then separate question.
Hmm.
I'll remind you in a bit. Sonically. Thematically.
Thematically,
How similar are they thematically?
I could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think thematically, some of the songs they haven't even heard yet. Honestly, they cook for a while.
Mhm.
Someone told me I had a voice teacher when I was younger as well, who told me that like songs are like your babies. They spend a while in gestation. They cook. They
Don't cook the babies.
No, maybe not. Don't put them in the ovens either.
Put them on the
What?
boat.
Yeah, put them on the boat. Put a hat on them. but they take a while to incubate, and then
Yeah.
you know, when they first make an appearance,
Yeah.
you bring around your friends and your family and your closest people, and you like introduce them, like this is this baby thing, this is this thing that's going on, and then you have them help raise it, you know,
Yeah.
and you send it to a babysitter sometimes, like, hey, just go work on this, like solo, like
Yeah.
you know, come see what you come up with, and then, you know, we regroup in adolescence and record, and as it comes out and starts to take its shape as an adult song, now it's, you know, it's got its own following, its own entity, and then beyond that, it turns into, okay, it no longer is my child, it's no longer my song, it's our song that we've all raised.
Yeah.
And then the third layer is then the listener's perspective of that, in terms of, okay, so now it's taken on its own entity just simply within what it means to someone else, because what I wrote it about could be so far removed from what someone is hearing it, and hearing it as their truth, and that is the intent of thematically what some of this should represent. In terms of Bought and Paid For is supposed to be extremely blunt and straightforward,
Yeah.
and like a
As
big
you were
smack on the
explaining, yeah.
you know, because that's to me where I'm at, and I wrote this song before we heard all of the election news. And actually one of the lyrics was, whether or not you choose to see that love stems from the same well as empathy, I still have hope that we can find a place of commonality and unity, even if we disagree on who the next president should be.
And at the time, that
Yeah.
was
It's before he was elected.
Trump or Hillary.
Yeah, and so in that, content-wise, like thematically, it very much is tied to that moment in history. Like this song is, to me, represents how I felt, and once we started kind of running it through how we all felt about this kind of traumatic thing that's happening
There's a
to
Yeah.
There was a
anyone who
sense of-
isn't one type
yeah.
of person.
There's a greater sense of urgency to say these things
Yeah.
now, and I
Yes.
think like
Thank you.
good
Yeah.
good song parents, you know, I think this song is at a point in time where it needs to get out there and get a job and start working. But like, but for real, you know, it's
absolutely, yeah.
putting like Tom York had a great quote about his songcraft. It's just like, I purposely phrase everything in a way where it's like I could mean every word of it and I could mean none of it.
Right.
And songs are my children, and some of them never leave the house, and some of them go out in the world and
Never leave the glass house. That
and
was living in.
and some I send to war. And I think when Maya wrote this song, and
This is a war song.
a lot of things she says are much like just I said, my friend Danielle and we talk about this all the time. I always wanted to be in a Riot Girl band.
I think
It's
I
just
know
like, because
which Danielle this is.
but it was just like the politics. Those are all things I believe deeply in. But
Yeah.
most of the time, it's just like I don't really know how to quite phrase this in a way that speaks to me, or it
Right.
might not even be my place to say it. And
But
a lot
the
of
phrasing is so important
Yeah.
about how it's said, because the most important thing was that it wasn't a blaming
it was
situation.
This
yeah.
song
It
isn't
wasn't.
blaming.
No, it
No.
is 180 degrees the opposite. It's
Yeah.
it's very poignant and uses very direct language.
But not to
It could
attack.
be interpreted as
Yeah.
blame, certainly, but I purposely went out and when I was recording with Mark, and we had a really good conversation about this, of using those operative pronouns instead of you and your, saying
Yeah.
we and our,
Yeah.
or she, her, him, they, whatever, choosing more universal words that couldn't be interpreted as that, and also instead of by making broad broad statements in terms of oh, this is this way because of this and this, like I feel like that's how you back yourself into a corner as an artist, or by making a standpoint.
Yeah, and this
right?
is, I think, for in order for art to make a statement, it has to be part of a conversation first. And I
Right.
think this is more of
And what better
an invitation
than a
for a
question?
conversation
Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
a street fight. This is more
Right.
like, this is clearly happening.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
And
Yeah.
she has a way of talking about this in a way where it's just like, you know what? Listen to her. My guitar playing is more of just a statement of just like, this is stuff that I deeply believe in, but she says it a lot better than I ever will. So,
So you say
But it's symbiotic because
Yeah.
it's hard for me to bring up the confidence to say these. And the biggest component for me, content-wise, is that in the chorus specifically, it's questions. It's every
Right.
single line, all 4 lines in the chorus are questions.
Yep.
They're not statements. They're not.
Are privileges bestowed, stolen, or learned? Yep, that's the first question.
Is hate the difference whether you think they've been taught or earned? Has the world already been bought and paid for? And is the unending cycle of a victim could have waged the first war? And with those words, to me, they hold a lot of power just as ideas, but as questions. Maybe someone who's never thought through that perspective or never had their opinion challenged, or it's just the way that my daddy taught me. That kind of stuff, where it's like, it's never been questioned in some people. And I think it's rather imperative for the suffering of others to ask these questions in this time where privilege is celebrated.
So we had the Tom York metaphor of some songs going to war. So I was thinking the work of this song is a war. This is a soldier. No. So yes, but also no. Insofar as it's not attacking, it's asking questions. So maybe it's a
It's got a
diplomat or
flower
something.
at the end of that rifle.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely going to the front lines, but
But doing some.
it's not packing that kind of heat.
It's doing something interesting at the front lines that isn't attacking.
Yeah.
But it needs to be on the front lines.
Yeah, I think it's that's a good point. It's not an attack, but it's a tactic that I think should start being used. I'm just like, wait a minute,
What's going on here?
let's ask questions here.
Just after those questions are first asked, the second verse begins with, and is the unending cycle of a victim. That's the end. Sorry, that's the end of the chorus. When and where and how did we agree that it's up to our legacy to break our cycles of discrimination and inequality? Is that right? That's the beginning of the second verse.
Correct. Yeah.
So again, it's another question. It's about breaking these cycles. It's a call to at the front up. And you set the scene. The moment where quite succinctly you refer to the different types of discrimination and inequality, whether
how
it's
we see it perpetuated this generation.
being told to cover up so as not to be sexualized. That's the way in which some are victims of this. Being told not to resist if you want to live.
Specifically related to color and police brutality.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then there's a third example of being told you can pray away your sexual orientation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are 3 easy movements to grab onto.
Yeah.
Gender equality, racial equality, and sexual orientation, LGBTQ rights. Those were 3 things that we could really grab onto and exact examples of how this is perpetuated. So you young girl are wearing spaghetti straps. I would be sent home for wearing this shirt that I feel comfortable in. And I specifically remember my teacher, he was like a para person in middle school, would walk around, and these are prepubescent girls, and this is like a 60-year-old man walking around, essentially policing young women on what they should or should not be wearing. Not only should it be a female doing that, but the fact that someone in a position of power was telling a young girl who's already uncomfortable about, possibly uncomfortable or, very delicate about that time of their life, having someone say, what you're doing is not appropriate. You're a distraction to young boys. You need to go home. You pay the price for this because they can't focus, is essentially what this message is. So you get to be sent home, or you have to wait 2 hours and miss class, miss education. Not only are you embarrassed in front of a group of people, you're sent home, you lose out on education, and it perpetuates this patriarchy in the first place.
It's interesting that it's done under the guise of we're protecting you from being
Right.
sexualized.
Oh no, this is.
But the very act of pointing that out and telling someone to cover up is sexualizing
itself.
them without them even realizing that's what's being done.
Right.
And it's just that's interesting.
Right? Yeah, and that's just
Fancy
one
that.
thing, you know, and that's just my truth as a woman.
Yeah.
You know, as my human experience here through that perspective. And
So that's what it's,
and
it's
I personally
interesting.
can't speak to what other people have been through, rather what others have told me and trusted me within their stories and their human experience.
So on that note, something interesting
commenting.
happens in that verse then, because we start with an example which is, you know, your
Very
example,
direct, yeah. Mhm.
and then there are other examples as well. And then although Doc Hugh was saying, let Maya speak, you know, your guitar is just kind of doing its bit alongside Maya's voice. The next lyric is, pardon me if you disagree, but sometimes our voices are best left to listen. You were saying just listen to her, but then what her voice is saying is maybe the Maya voice should. This is interesting metaphor of your voice listening, or our voices listening to our brothers and
Right.
sisters on the front lines bleeding instead of us.
Because we always offer a commentary on someone's situation, you know, and it's anyone who goes through any sort of adversity, whether it be, you know, whatever social issue or whatever element of a human experience is discriminated against for whatever reason,
Yeah.
whatever that might be, it's our tendency to offer, oh, hey, here's the solution, here's the thing, you know, hey, we're trained like that, oh, here's the next product that'll make it better, or here's the bit of advice, or how can I chime in, how can I help, how can I be the savior in this? No, like, just be there with that person that's hurting. Let's stop talking and listen and understand, and we've all been affected by this, we've all hurt, and that's why this moment in history is so important, because it's all coming forward. And there's very, very, very one small group of people that aren't being hurt right now, and I think it's important to realize that, and for us to align ourselves and be allies, and for me to be an ally, for us all to be allies to those that are truly being affected by this and impacted by this negatively, in very real ways that are at the detriment to a lot of people.
So
and at the benefit and
of others.
enrichment of others.
So
How convenient,
reaping
right?
the luxury, the cow is reaping the luxury.
Certainly
in the
leads
next
us to
lyric.
the next line. Yes, being. So if we still say this, right? So we're preaching this, that, oh, America's so great, like we're so equal opportunity. You know, you can start a business, blah blah blah. All this, you know, we're the land of this. This is what we're founded on. But when I take a look, and you hear things at face value. We all hear the news at face value, and then we take one step further, say, where did that come from? Who wrote it? Who are they paid by?
Right, so asking questions.
Who sponsored that article?
Does that media even have a responsibility to tell the truth?
So the song is on the front lines. One thing it's not doing, despite being in like right where the conflict is, one thing it's not doing is engaging in the conflict. Something else it's not doing is trying to impose like the solution, the one solution.
Right.
I'm here to save the day with this song. Just let this song do its work. This is all we need. End of story. It's not that.
No.
This is more of a cry that do the work with us.
So it's
to
like
be uplifting with it.
it's like here we are. Here's an example of something that's incontestably happening. You've got this, 3 cases of the discrimination and inequality. They're just 3 cases. There's many, 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 many more. If there is a call to arms, like the conflict metaphor again, it is to recognize and hopefully just really perceiving where we are right now is enough. The next step after that ought to be like, how do we get somewhere else?
Right.
How do we
And
break out
then-
of this cycle?
yeah.
And so that's all the song is saying. Look at things. And then, surely there must be a way to break out of.
Right.
It's not a good situation.
Well, I think we should be asking questions, and one of those questions is, what kind of society do
we
you want
want?
to live in?
Right. With the lyric, and is equal what we're striving for, but without a map, how do we get there? Back to the first verse. It's like, is that what we're going for here, or what
yeah,
are we actually going? What are
what
we
are we
trying to
going
do?
Yeah.
Because like we were talking earlier, offset, it's like, you know, our government is a reflection of us.
It's representative democracy.
Pay them.
Yes.
I don't know if they know that, but I do, and
Yeah.
y'all do, and we
Yeah.
all do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in a way, it is a reflection of us, because you have a third who are absolutely in favor and in tears. They're so happy about this.
Yeah.
You have a third of the population that doesn't seem to care, and by that are completely complicit to all of it.
Yeah.
And then you have another third who are, you know, feeling the brunt of this and are maybe more aware of history, I guess,
Right.
and just like, okay, that's this is some other shit.
And as well as the complacent, you have them very much
Complacency
complicit.
is
Yeah.
complacency
Yeah.
is complicit. Yeah.
There's a great
yeah.
quote. I am not going to try to remember who said this, but it's like we get the politicians we deserve.
Right.
And I think
It's a perfect reflection of that part of
we
it.
elected the American id.
Yes,
right
exactly. If you
into
didn't,
the
I was
White
going to
House.
quote you. If you didn't repeat, because that was before coming. That's such, and that is true, and that's something to grapple with. So again, it seems like something that Illusion Valley is going to do is just catch us, report the situation.
Well, yeah, because
just-
we can't stand in the middle and say and take 20 sides, you know, of all these people sharing their human experiences, let alone it's inappropriate. I can't comment on Black
Yeah.
Lives Matter.
Yeah.
You know, I can't
as the
comment
song,
on
as the song highlights.
right. I mean, I can comment on it, but that's not my place. It's
Yeah.
not my human experience or my perspective or my adversity. You know, I have my own, as we all do, and with that, you know, I think that's why it was so important in the lyrical aspect of writing this song to keep it open questions, as to not imply that confusion as what we're trying to do with this, by keeping it very like, no, we're commenting on this as that kind of zoomed out perspective now.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about earlier with the My Elena EP, and having
Yeah.
to be like, okay, I'm just trying to, you know, discover it, and then the awareness of like, oh, okay, like, well, there's a lot going on out here, and
Yeah.
trying to hold that strongly and you know, plant your feet down and make music there.
You begin with some concern about what you're doing as an individual in the opening verse,
Yeah.
and then by the end, there's an interesting return to yourself. So let's
And there's an end section
yeah.
that changes tempo,
Yep.
changes feel. The instrumentation is different. The effects, the overall sound quality is different.
What's the significance of that shift?
Exactly, it's a shift.
Yeah.
You got it. That's it.
But,
it's
but so like in terms of the lyrics and conceptually, what's happening when there is that sonic shift?
Sure. Yeah. It's so the first part of the song is meant to kind of highlight the division, and this I was like, okay, that's not balanced necessarily, and so with the shift of the feel in terms of the actual structure and instrumentation of the song, as well as lyrically and content wise, with turning it into it actually ends on a major chord. It's the first time that, you know, it's in D minor. It's the first time D major comes in as the very last chord. It's very
Right.
intentional.
So that's
So-
obviously hopeful.
Right, it
Yeah.
ends on a hopeful chord.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. In some of the lyrics are, it's like whether or not, you know, we talked about that earlier. You choose to see the love stems from the same well as empathy, and then the self-reflection bit again, bringing in kind of that soul work element of maybe if we spent more time connecting what we're thinking with what we're feeling.
Yeah, that's a bit that struck me as interestingly related to the previous Soulwork Myolena record.
Yeah.
If we would begin at the opening lyric in the song, "Am I really blessed and is this fortune really mine?"
Yeah.
You know, you've done the Soulwork and you've reaped the reward, and you're
Yes.
feeling good.
Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
So-
there's, you know, you've been thinking about self-care as well as about what you're doing for others, but then you're concerned about that because you're aware that you
Do I deserve this? Yeah. Why
Yeah.
me? Essentially.
others are not in
yeah.
a position to do that. Certainly not in the same way. But then we get to maybe if we spent a little more time working on ourselves, merging the thoughts from our minds with the love in our hearts, we can see that we've been waging an uncivil divide inside ourselves. So it's back to thinking about the soul work again, in a way,
Yeah.
but in a context where we need to create a scenario where it really is the case that there's less of a discrepancy. There's the division that you recognize in the first verse, where you can do this soul work, but not everyone is equally able to.
Or has the opportunity.
Yeah.
Or the odds stacked against them higher.
Yeah.
Or even have every opportunity but choose not to.
Yeah.
You know?
Because there's too much going on. There's too much. They're on the front line.
Well, and physically, I mean, you think
Not
of...
just visiting it with a song, but they're
Right.
stuck on the front line and
Right.
unable to. It seems like fighting is the only thing that can happen, or maybe fighting is the only thing that
Yeah.
ought to happen in some situations. But
When you think about the term like fight or flight, right? Like you are in that when you feel threatened. You're in that when you feel afraid. Like you feel like your rights are being taken away. You feel like you're at the face, at the end of a barrel of a gun,
Yeah.
literally or figuratively. Or if you simply don't have access to good water, like in Flint or I'm seeing many more cities around the country and, obviously worldly.
yeah,
In terms of the human condition, like there's, again, ties into the hierarchy of need, but if I'm remembering correctly, I'm not able to cite any sort of source or study, but for the mind to be in fight or flight, you're in a reactionary state of mind, not a responsive state of mind. And there's a difference, because in reactionary, you're either running away, avoiding confrontation, or you're fighting confrontation, or you freeze there, and you can't move within it.
So it's almost like this song is trying to elicit a responsive state of mind with other people who are. So not the brothers and the. Let's see. So the brothers and sisters on the front lines bleeding instead of us. There are other people witnessing that or choosing not to witness that, and it's almost as if this song is like trying to elicit a responsive respond to the situation.
Validation.
Make it be the case that these people are not stuck.
Hear
stuck
their
in that.
pain. That's real.
It's
They're standing in the streets because they literally have nowhere else to protest.
Validation is such a
Yeah.
huge thing, because I really do think there is a fight or flight cloud over the country right now, because a lot of people who
not
voted,
just this country,
right?
No,
not
exactly.
just this country.
We're seeing it everywhere.
And a lot of
in many
people
other
who voted
places.
for Brexit and voted for Trump were doing so out of fear.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who voted against Trump and against Brexit were doing so out of fear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's like everyone is in this fight or flight response.
I voted for Hillary out of fear. I did. I threw my vote to fear because I was afraid of Trump winning.
Yeah.
And that in itself is the division. And
we're reacting and we're not responding to these things that are being said on both sides.
Yeah.
Of just like whoa. That's truth be told, there's also like a lot of dog whistle things going on where it's just like, oh, this will get the people on the right going nuts and this will get the people on the left going nuts.
Yeah.
But there is a healthy portion of just cognitive dissonance to actual facts and going like, I don't like that, and I'm going to react to it rather than respond to it and listen to it and go like, huh, what does that mean? Where are we now?
right.
It seems almost like this song is a record of you responding to our contemporary moment
Yeah, certainly.
and thinking, okay,
It's a very direct regurgitation of that, and with literally the language, in a literal translation through language, highlighting these ideas and this kind of time capsule idea again.
Yeah.
And I think it's important too, like especially those who are affected by this, but also those perpetuating that energy. They are also. I don't want to. I hate the word victim. I think being a victim is a choice after something so strongly impacts someone. It's either you choose to continue to give that energy, or you choose to move on from it and make you more powerful.
Survivor.
Yeah, victim versus survivor. And so I don't want to say that they're victims too, but people that are susceptible to fear tactics and division tactics are also taken by this too, or have fallen victim to this too. Maybe it is appropriate to put that there. because they maybe that awareness of starting to work through it hasn't come yet, but
Yeah.
but they are also that, and to further alienate is exactly what they want.
Right.
So instead of throwing that, oh, you did this or you did this, it's, hey, why don't we talk about this and facilitate?
What is actually going on
Let's
here?
build the
You know?
bridges instead of
Yeah.
walls, and that's where the idea of bringing question, the idea of having questions in a song is so
Yeah.
important.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
statements.
If so, even you, prior to doing the Maya Elena review, the soul work of that, your thoughts in your mind and the love in your heart are less united, or than after doing that work. Is this the case? So perhaps without the help of songwriting to think about who you are and in your context, then there was more of a civil war within you.
Within us all, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
and so it's almost as if you recognize, well, what my truth, or what I've experienced through my individual work on myself, like that remains relevant. So a song that starts by like questioning the relevance and feeling kind of uneasy about your focus on
And
yourself.
a little nod to that.
Yeah, it's
era,
almost as
yeah.
if we catch you in the act of questioning, but then finding a new place for this idea that what we need, not just what Maya needed, but what we need, is to implement, to do this kind of work, but it needs to be social work. It needs,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. We don't all have to agree, but we can all get along.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah.
Yeah. So because even I think an important thing is that even the person in the position of privilege might be before pushing themselves to kind of raise questions and are also conflicted. Almost so like you were saying about the person who's in a position of fear, like the soul work can help them get away from that and to survive that.
And in whatever way that pertains to them.
Yeah.
Not to like imply like, oh, this is the thing,
Yeah.
just do this thing and you're gonna be fine. No, it's
Yeah.
I mean it's and I use that kind of it's not a term that it's what I made up, soul work. I'm sure many people have used it in the past for many things, but in terms
talk
of
about it in a different way.
Right,
Yeah.
precisely. It's not like
Just human endeavor.
right. Yeah, it's a loose, not all-encompassing term.
Yeah.
Left to interpretation. Again, kind of that idea of letting it, live on in others as whatever they need to hear it as.
Yeah, how can you
And
find
interpret it
your
as.
calling and do your work?
Right. Yeah, and the passion projects and I am absolutely privileged in being able to play a guitar and be able to write and play shows. And
But now you feel compelled to
perpetuate
do
and
that in a way that helps, that maybe maximizes the chance of other people being able to do that. Not that a song on its own can
certainly, but
change
it
it.
could help inspire or facilitate at least a conversation, and I think that's why that was a big part in choosing the Hook and Ladder venue, because it's a theater, it's a seated show. It's as much fun as it is to perform at bars and late night and that kind of energy. It's not conducive for the style and heavy content.
Yeah.
To which this is. We have spent a lot of time here,
Yeah.
and not that we demand that direct attention for it or in it.
Yeah.
Rather, it just takes a little bit more listening,
Yeah.
which isn't always
Easy.
or possible, or
Yeah.
or you just want
Because
to
we
hang
need
out and have time and a place, and
Yeah,
so
well,
we want
it's
to
a-
facilitate room for this too.
Yeah.
And in the importance and urgency that we feel this message and these kinds of conversations that need a place. Essentially, we're holding a space for conversations to happen afterwards for people. That's
Yeah.
what we want.
Yeah.
And it's completely inclusive to anyone from any background, any type of human being is welcome. And
Yeah.
and that includes even Trump supporters. Like,
Yeah.
I would love to facilitate that kind of conversation as long
Yeah.
as it's rooted in compassion and the goal to be, let's reach an understanding.
Yeah.
If it's a fight, I'm not.
So you talked about the pronouns, the we's instead of the you's, and we are the keepers of the light is the opening. Sorry, it's the closing lyric.
Yeah.
As we make that journey to the major chord and the hope, and this we, if we've followed the messages of the song correctly, seems to be anyone who is willing to adopt that responsive state of mind. It's scary to look at reality right now, isn't it? We're all invested in not doing so. So whoever is willing to kind of switch off whatever is stopping us from acknowledging this is where we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the key operative phrase in that very last line is, I am no longer afraid.
Mm.
And it's those willing and wanting and able to move past fear and those division tactics, because we're all the same. I don't know, not the same, but we're all one. We all are a human race together, and we're all diverse and beautifully diverse at that, within that one umbrella that is the human race.
Yeah.
And it is a power tactic to divide that in half, and then divide that in half, and then divide that in half,
Yeah.
so that power is in place. But if you say, I'm not afraid, if you are able to say I'm not afraid, if you get yourself to that place where you can overcome that, and whatever that means for somebody, and whatever help that they need for that, that's where we see the imbalance in the system being rigged.
It seems like you sense that there is, or at least ought to be, a universality to the lessons that you've previously learned about overcoming the uncivil divide inside yourself. And it's almost as if the work that this song is being put to is highlighting what presently stands in the way of that being universal. So you feel uneasy. I'm the artist who does the soul work. I know that others can't, but there is this utopian, that's for me, part of when with the keepers of the light lyric, it goes into the.
Don't put us in a soapbox, Simon. Soapbox us in.
No, and again, bringing that question element, having that be such a heavy focus on this song, it's not supposed to be we have the answers, we're the keepers of the light. It's not like we are, we all are.
We have questions, and everyone does, and it's not going to be easy, but nothing ever is. And this is more of, okay, how do we get started?
Yeah, and that's one of the strongest components of the song. I think
fear.
it's concern about seeming to be in a soapbox, or it's concern about seeming to be offering the answer.
Simply
a song can't
360
do that.
Observational view. Yeah.
But a habit of mind can, and so the song is kind of making a case for a habit of mind in an awareness of social context, and making a case for the need for that habit of mind.
Habit of mind is a good way to put it. I think the most important thing to call upon is the peaceful warrior archetype in this. And
I think a big part of this song is kind of going how did we get here?
Yeah.
What
look back.
How do we get here, and how do
where
we
are we going? Where does
yeah.
where does this road really lead? Is this just about two sides arguing with each other? And if so, what happens when one side wins? Is that something we want?
Is the unending cycle of a victim what could have waged the first war?
So let's ask these questions. Let's stop the peaceful warrior. Maybe let's stop pepper spraying each other. Let's stop pepper spraying. Why don't we actually listen?
Yeah.
Why don't we start asking questions? Why don't we start the dialogue? And instead of approaching every situation like a conflict of just there's a winner and there's a loser, and if you ain't first, you're last. And it's just they're here, they can't be here, and if they ain't first, they're gonna be last. It's just it's a little bit more complicated than that.
Yeah.
And it always is, and it always will be.
we used the metaphor of it going to work. I said it's not a soldier, it's a peaceful warrior. That's what the
Peaceful
song
warrior.
is.
Yes.
And it's making a case explicitly for listening. And for it's questioning and it's listening.
Information rooted in truth, not perpetuations of narratives fueled by money,
Yeah.
hence bought and paid for. You know, it's like, okay, you read that article, who bought and paid for that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. With the song being called Bought and Paid For, yeah. And is there a sense of maybe the hope that we have when we go to that major chord at the end? Is it a hope of getting beyond the Illusion Valley? What is the Illusion Valley? Because it seems like we're, with this...
Come to the Hook and Ladder and find out.
Well done, Doc, well done.
Yeah, I was looking for a good close, and it came, of course,
You fish in a
courtesy
bit.
of Doc. Okay, so for the time being, we can recognize that we are in an Illusion Valley. We can learn about that Illusion Valley courtesy of Illusion Valley for the first time tomorrow at the Hook and Ladder.
Yes.
We've got Gillian Ray opening, and
It was
also-
fantastic.
Yep,
Yeah.
Yes.
Gillian Ray and isn't who else?
Sister Tree.
Also fantastic.
Sister Tree.
Yes. So two female-fronted violinist oriented acts, both
Yep.
duos, but from completely different musical backgrounds and kind of in different facets of the music performing world right now.
So Gillian's performing as a duo.
Correct. She
With
is
who?
performing as a duo. I'm sorry, Julian, I don't remember.
Well, exactly. That's a
You'll have to
teaser.
find
You'll
out.
have to come.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a
Yes.
recurring theme at the end of
Yes.
the episode. So come and see various
Let's
things.
start asking questions. Who's going to be playing with Gillian Ray? What's Illusion Valley?
Will Carrie Joy remember her violin?
Ask questions. You can listen, of course, at the Hook and Ladder. You can observe and respond at the Hook and Ladder. These are all the things that we need to do. A lot more. So yeah, we will see you there tomorrow. Tomorrow being Thursday, June the 1st. What time are the doors?
6 o'clock. Sister Tree begins at 7 o'clock. Gillian Ray is out 8, and then we perform later about 8:45, 9.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And we've been hearing some Sister Tree and Gillian Ray
Yes.
in this segment. So if you've been wondering what we've been listening to, it is that. And you can witness them live along with Illusion Valley. Here again to close is the new, only for the time being, Illusion Valley song,
Yes.
Bought and Paid For. Enjoy it for a second time and come and witness it live for the first time tomorrow. This has been Back to the City. I'm Simon Calder. Thank you very much, Maya and Doc,
Thank you for having me.
for
Thank you.
coming in, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Which of course it isn't for us, but it is for us. So, see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Simon.
Thank you, Simon.
The difference whether you think that they've been taught or earned it. Has the world already been bought and paid for? And is the unending cycle of a victim what could waste? Wage the first war. When and where and how did we agree that it's up to our legacy to break our cycles of discrimination and inequality? By telling young girls to cover up if you don't wish to be sexualized, though, and telling young blacks don't resist if you want to live. Oh, and if you're gay, you can pray it away. And pardon me if you disagree, but sometimes our voices are best left to listen to our brothers and our sisters on the front lines who are there bleeding instead of us. And if we still say America is the land of the brave and the free, then why, when I look, oh, all I see is a new form of slavery and cowards reap in the luxury. Our privileges bestowed, stolen or learned. Hate the difference
each other's soul work. It's important to do your own soul work.
now.
Choose to see their love stems from the same well as empathy. I still have hope that we can find the place of commonality and unity, even if we disagree on who the next president should be. Maybe if we spent a little more time working on ourselves, merging the thoughts from our minds with the love in our hearts, or we can see that we've been waging an uncivil